1 minute. The Editor-in-Chief is live in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, welcome to the program, folks. It's October the 2nd. You're with the Editor-in-Chief live with Estes Oil. It's your multi-ingredient omega-3 healthy aging supplement backed by thousands of satisfied customers. 6 supplements in 1 capsule supports joint, heart and brain health. Take as directed. Read the label. It is from About Health in Auckland.
Duncan Garner, live.
Right, evening everybody. Good to have you along. Welcome. I'm Duncan Garner. Get involved. Send us your comments as well. You can call me 0800 863 293. Coming up, as thousands of Kiwis lose their jobs, we look at where the jobs are. And where are they? They're not advertised. It's the hidden job market, and I'll tell you all about it shortly. Also, how to avoid a parking ticket as the fines almost double right around the country. Auckland Transport Head of Fines and Enforcement is with us. We want to get him, don't we? And JP from Celebrity Treasure Island, he joins me to wrap things up a little bit later in the program.
Duncan Garner, live.
Right, so the hidden job market, what is it? Where is it? And how do we access it? Can someone find it, please? 75% of all jobs are not advertised. Tom O'Neill from cv.co.nz. He's the man. He knows where they are. He knows where these hidden jobs are, and he joins me now. G'day, Tom. How are you, mate? Good to see you, mate. So with this hidden job market, whereabouts, when you say hidden, 75% of jobs aren't advertised. How do we get them?
Yeah, the thing is, it's the jobs that are not traditionally advertised. So it's, it's those weird things with dumb luck. You've got a mate who knows a mate who knows a mate, and suddenly blah, blah, blah. You've got friends, you've got colleagues, you've got networks, you can tap into. And as well as that, you can just go direct to employers. People don't realize that. Just literally popping together the CV, tracking down some key people you really would love to work for, seek them out on LinkedIn and then approach them.
Do people do that anymore? I mean, you did right. Walk down the street, walk down retail shops, walk down one side, walk down the other. You'll probably have some sort of part-time work by the end of it. But we don't get off our asses to do it, Tom. You've got to be really quite forceful in this and quite motivated, don't you?
Yeah, well, look, you've got to think about it like this, right? Let's say you're a strong customer services manager, right? And you've lost your job, it sucks. Now, what you want to do is think about, well, who wants someone like me? So you think about the companies you'd love to work for, then you go on LinkedIn, find the decision maker, not HR, not the recruiter, because bless their hearts, that's not the person you want to impress. You want to impress the person who would be your boss in that organization. You then reach out direct. Again, via email, attach a CV, just introduce yourself. And you can do that by, having a guess at their email address, those sort of things. But it's about being seen. Every single CV you have in the marketplace is your brochure, probably being read by someone. And here's the really key thing. If you go direct to someone, let's say it's customer service manager, let's say you're on 140 a year, they're going to be saving themselves 20, 30 grand potentially in recruitment fees just because you reached out.
What does it cost to hire someone? What are those recruitment fees? Because that comes into this too. And because what the boss over there will like, he'll like that you've got some good attitude. He'll like it that you've got initiative. And also like the fact he's going to save a bit of money as well because you solved the problem,
We're talking tens of thousands of dollars, mate. A lot of money that is just out there for recruiters. And don't get me wrong, recruiters do a great job and work really hard. I was a former executive recruiter myself in my career, and it seems like a lot of money, but you put a lot of work in pretty much for free to hope for the placement, But the other thing that's really cool about when you reach out to someone direct, a decision maker direct, potentially your boss, you're actually proving, as you just said, that you're a hard worker. You are focused. You do want to work for that company. You're resilient, probably going to be a no, and you are really proactive. Now, these competencies are something you don't learn about a person until about 6 months into their employment. But you can actually almost prove that tangibly even before you're employed by reaching out direct.
What sort of, let's say a quarter of the jobs are advertised. How many jobs then are we saying that could be available out there? What sort of numbers? Because we know that there's a lot more competition now for jobs, right, than there was a year ago.
Look, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, well, we're talking tens of thousands of jobs, maybe even hundreds of thousands of jobs. I mean, what we're thinking about here is basically not just jobs that are being advertised, but also, someone's handed in their notice and the boss hasn't quite got to employing them. There's a new project that's just an organisation may have picked up, and they're now looking for someone, but they haven't quite got round to it. It's always a flow. The real key is not worrying about how many jobs are out there. The key is about getting your CV out into the marketplace. And that's where people really struggle. They go, oh, no, is it going to work? And is this, is that? What about my competition? Let's forget all that and let's just get your brochure out in front of decision makers. If you do that, it's not if, it's when.
Yeah, because it's a numbers game, right? So it's a numbers game. You throw your brochure out there 10 times or 20 times, 30 times. The more the better. But you've got to be prepared for rejection. So you've got to have a tough exterior because it's going to be the old. They're going to say, "Bugger off, mate." You cheeky bugger.
Yeah. Well, I did a study on this a number of years ago and interviewed a whole lot of senior managers. 75% of senior managers said they would be happy to receive an unsolicited CV, an introduction from someone, if it was relevant to their role. So if it was relevant to their organisation, relevant to the role they were leading, they were happy. 75% were happy to receive an email out of the blue. 25% weren't. They'd be rude and never email me again. Blah 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 blah. Well, great news. You just found out who you don't want to work for.
You should be careful not to be annoying though, right? So you don't want to be sitting at reception for 3 days waiting to try and catch the boss as he walks out. I mean, you'd be a prat doing that. You're the guy they don't want.
Oh no, look, 100%. So what I'm talking about again is just really doing it via email. So let's say, you're after a professional or trade type role. You may not necessarily just sort of bowl in and sit there in reception, but you'll track down that decision maker via email, fire off your CV, and really go from there. As well as that, if you like a trade, my nephew, he's a diesel mechanic, and he literally just hit the road, drove round Pukekohe, and visited all the organisations that would use diesel mechanics. And one day he got a job. It's amazing. So some roles work really well, some not as much, but it doesn't matter. We don't need to focus on what will work, what's the competition, what this and that. It's about just shutting up and getting the CV out there.
Yeah. How crucial is LinkedIn? How crucial do you rate LinkedIn?
Oh, LinkedIn's fantastic. You really need a strong LinkedIn profile because that's where a lot of recruiters go for talent. And that's where that's your website. So it's a great place for organizations to find out about you. Your CV's your brochure. LinkedIn is the website. But LinkedIn is awesome to track down the talent you want to hook into. Simple as that. I mean, my largest client, I got through going on LinkedIn, finding who I thought was the correct person, and then made a guess at their email address, made that a few variations of that, and sent away my proposal. 13 emails bounce back, one goes through. He phones me the next day and becomes our biggest client over 14 years. Yeah,
you need to look at the job that you're leaving, right? So the job that you just lost or whatever. Look at the people that you dealt with. So if you want to stay in the same industry, who do you know across the competition? Because the competition might hire you. What relationships do you have? So you want to hit those people up first. That's the low hanging fruit. The people you've been dealing with, they might really rate you and say, "We should have got him one day." Well, here's your chance.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, mate. I'd sort of almost rate everyone, A, B, and C. A, people that you can reach out to. G'day, Duncan, it's Tom here. Look, hey, hope you're well, blah, blah, blah. B, people you might sort of be a little, not such a strong relationship, so you may then, follow up with a phone call, but also an email. And then finally, the C-level people, maybe people you've met conferences, events, but, you still have a good relationship with, you can just fire off an email reintroducing yourself and, really getting out there. Again, it's a brand exercise. It's about you selling you. And there's only one time in our society, mate, we're allowed to talk about how good we are at something, and that is the job hunt. That is our job.
What's your take on designing a job within another company? So let's say you've lost your job and you go to them and say, look, I'm looking for a job. I suggest that, I'm looking at your profile of your work and I reckon you need someone like this. And you are quite forceful and you design a job within their company and get them thinking. I mean, it could backfire, but it could work.
Mate, what's the worst thing that will happen?
No.
Nothing. That's it. And that's what we're worried about. Oh, no, da-da-da. But, if you don't do it, you're going to be in the same position you are now.
Yeah.
I mean, to go into an organisation and pitching an idea, let's say, pitching a podcast show, let's just say theoretically, you're suddenly adding value. You're adding a new dimension to something they haven't thought of.
Yeah.
And suddenly creating an opportunity for something that was not there 8 minutes ago,
Yeah, it's interesting. Tux has just said here on the online, Duncan, most folks I know got their jobs, wait for it, through a friend. So look at all those, mind those areas. Tom, always the best, mate. Appreciate your time this evening. All the best. Take care.
Hey, thanks, mate. Have a lovely evening.
Okay,
mate.
catch up again.
Duncan Garner, live.
All right. So, how did you get this job, Isaac? How did you get the job at MediaWorks? Did you apply? Was it internship? What was it? How did you do it?
Mine was a little bit different because I studied at the New Zealand Broadcasting School.
Oh yes.
And then that's part of the last part of our degree is doing this internship.
Right.
And so we still had to apply. Like we put forward our CV and we put forward our cover letter, and because every broadcast company puts through a whole bunch of internships that are available. You apply for the ones you want.
You were a standout.
Oh, I would love to think so.
Yeah,
I got a job, so I'll stand out in at least one of them.
Yeah, and it's been a good process. So you would go from intern now to this.
Yes, it's done well. I've got a job out of it. It's been fantastic.
You could be working with Paddy Gower or something,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Okay. We'll head to Auckland Transport shortly. Let's do some 3 questions.
3 questions from the Editor-in-Chief. 1.
Now, number 1 today, where is the best place to set up a business in New Zealand? It's an international survey, and Auckland has come out on top compared to the rest of New Zealand, but it's in just 33rd place overall if you look at other cities around the globe. So 32 other cities are ranked higher than us, where it's better to set up and thrive as a business. We'll take it though, 33. I'm not that mad about it.
2.
And number 2, yes, when we have to pay for overnight street parking in Auckland, not yet. It's further delayed. The Auckland Council has further delayed the plan to charge you for parking in the wee small hours. I wonder if this plan might be dead and they can't just say it yet. Maybe they want to make it easier to come to the CBD and not harder. You say you want everyone back, so stop punishing us for going back there. Mate, would they even make it free, do you think?
3.
And number 3, is this the weirdest America's Cup yet? Too far away, races in the middle of the night, now almost over before it begins. It simply is too hard, isn't it, to get into it? I stand by this. Grant Dalton sold us out for how many pieces of personal silver, I have no idea. We'll never know. But imagine what it would have done for our tanking economy. We need events, we need dollars, and, well, that was the one that got away, wasn't it? Anyway.
Duncan Garner, live.
Right, these new harsher parking fines have come into play around the country. $40 becomes, I think, 70. Be very careful around parking in disabled parks. You shouldn't do it anyway, but that goes to $750. Rick Bidgood from Auckland Transport joins us now by phone. He's a busy man. Rick, g'day. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming along.
No problem, Duncan. How's your night been?
Yeah, not too bad. I've come in on my motorbike, my electric motorbike, and it started to rain, so it was just a bit dodgy. It was a bit dodgy, but
it's going to be hard getting home. I can assure you on that one.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. Hey, okay, so parking. How to avoid a parking fine? We've all had them. What's your best advice?
Best advice, really quite simple. If you are moving into an environment you're unsure, be sign-wise. Check those signs first. If you're confused with multiple signs on a pole, read them from the top down. That's the easiest way, and be very, very familiar with where you're about to pull into. The other bit of good advice, I suppose, if you're going to park in a clearway, and we have to move a lot of vehicles out of clearways, put a little alarm in your telephone. Give yourself enough time to get back to that clearway, because now that increase with regards to the tow recovery cost and also the infringement fees, an extra $80 on top of that. That's kind of like a family pizza night. Well,
how much do they charge you for towing these days? That's a couple $100, isn't it?
So, that's a problem. So we're governed by legislation, so we can only have a pass-on charge. But that pass-on charge used to be $53.60. Now it's $90.20, so it's a big hike up.
Yeah, God, I know the prices of these fines, the cost of them hasn't gone up for a while, and suddenly it's gone up. But boy, it's big, isn't it? You go from $40 to $70, you're almost doubling a fine. It's usually done more incrementally than that, but we've got to take it. What about selfish parking? Not very thoughtful parking, stupid parking. What's your advice around there?
Oh, please don't do it. So, the biggest one is the mobility space. Our mobility impaired community really needs that space to get around more efficiently. So please don't risk it, because if you do get caught in that one, that's the most expensive coffee you'll ever buy if you just popped in to grab a coffee at $750.
Yeah. Well, what's the biggest mistakes that we make? What's the one that always comes across your desk? What's the one that we always do?
I think it's generic overstays. Didn't plan sufficient time. Didn't really take a good look at the watch with regards to how long I've got left. I guess the best way to do that is if you're staying in a paid parking area, grab the AT Park app so you're paying by the minute and you get a reminder. So that's probably the biggest one we face on a regular basis.
Yeah. You're doing it differently now, aren't you? You've got the cars, you've got the AT cars that you're running around sort of on the edge of the cities as well in the suburbs. So there's no escaping you buggers, is there? I mean, how many cars have you got? How many people have you got? We need to know.
So we've got 20 in that fleet at this moment in time, and with the expansion of all of the residence parking zones around the CBD fringe, it's near on impossible to do that with Office on Beat. So we had to look at ways we could generate greater levels of coverage through efficiency. And so there's 20 of those little guys running around at the moment. And where you may have risked it previously and taken a chance because you didn't see a parking officer, those little cars are pretty thorough. So be mindful.
Yeah, I suppose that is the best advice, isn't it? Because when you weren't there before, you are there now. What sort of money do you put? What sort of revenue does this make? What's the annual revenue for this sort of for all our mistakes?
We don't consider it to be revenue; it's funding, and it goes straight back into the on-street amenity. So that's something that we look at, and there's a total cost to operating in this environment as well. So it's not what you perceive front up. There's a whole heap of underlying costs that are associated with it.
Right. So how many parking wardens do you have? Have you got more or less than before? Because I know during COVID it was a bit of a struggle, wasn't it, to get people? But what are your numbers now?
Yeah, during COVID we had a recruitment freeze for obvious reasons. So the numbers now, we got 173 officers and 18 supervisors, but that also covers Pukekohe in the south, every town and city centre through to Wellsford in the north, over a 7-day, 21-hour day.
Yeah,
it's pretty thin when you think about it in that context.
Do many people get off? How many people write in, and what's the sort of the strike rate? Do you are you ever wrong?
We don't really have a thing we call a strike rate. Everybody has an opportunity, if they think they've been issued incorrectly, to write in, and we have an independent team that does that and does a review on those. So case by case scenario, and from time to time, people have very, very valid reasons that we're not aware of. So. People do get off from time to time, that's for sure.
Does that depend on who we write to, who picks up the letter, or who opens the email? I mean, are some people a bit nicer than others on that team, or how does it work? Because I could tell you, my mother was bleeding out, from the heart, and I had to get her to hospital, I had to park there. I mean, I could come up with all sorts of bullshit for you, and I'm sure you've heard it all.
I'm pretty sure I've heard it all, Duncan. Look, the team have a series of guidelines that they operate off, so they're very, very consistent there in their approach. But again, it's down to case by case. I mean, we have some really classic examples of things that we just did not know. When you hear that story, well, certainly it changes the entire scenario for us.
Right. And how often does this end up in court? Do many people get that sort of stickling end up in court, and you're fighting them in court over it? Because no one really wants to be there, but there'll always be someone that goes and does that, right?
There's always a certain percentage of the population that likes to go to that environment. I mean, we're quite proficient today with evidencing. So if that's the direction people would like to take, well, we can certainly assist them with regards to that process, that's for sure. But it's not a good place to be.
How long have we got if we're going over our duration that we've paid for in a park? What sort of leeway have we got? What sort of 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Is there something?
No, in a paid parking zone. So we'll give you a 10-minute grace period to avail yourself of a paid parking session. So that's pretty generous. So, and that's if you consider the cars run around really quite quickly, that's obvious. But if the officer on beat, they've got quite a big chunk of the city to cover as well. And the opportunity for them to get around, that time starts when we see you from the officer's point of view.
Yes.
So, you may have already overstayed by 20 minutes. We don't know. And unless depending on the restriction area you were in, based time or payment. So again, case by case, but just sign-wise.
Yeah. How much abuse do they get? How are we abusive as a public, as parkers? Are we still a nasty bunch of buggers, or what's the deal?
I wouldn't say a nasty bunch of buggers. I mean, I think the best way to describe that is if you're doing something wrong and you get caught out, you get a little bit frustrated, don't you? And you like to vent a little bit. And that's human nature, I guess. So I think the most important message to pass across is if you do make that choice and you do get caught out, have a think first. The team, they're just like you and I. They're family people, mothers, fathers, aunts, uncles, grandparents, and they've just got a job to do.
If I go and park on an angle, right, if I come into an angle park and my tyres are on the paint, will I get a ticket?
There's little funny limit lines in between the angle parks. They're a limit line. They don't actually stipulate you must park inside that space. So that'd be a no.
Right, is that the rules, is it? So you can't have your tyres touching the paint?
Paint, yeah. So if you're in an angle parking, I guess let's put a community mind on that lens. So if somebody pulls up alongside of you and they park right in the middle, they've got less opportunity to get out of their car door, and you might get a little nice crease in the side of your car. So I guess I would always park in the middle, so I don't like getting a ding in my door.
Yeah. When was your last ticket that you got issued?
A very, very long time ago, Duncan. A very long time ago.
Mr. Perfect.
No, Mr. Wise here.
Yeah.
When you do it for a living, you got to be wise, or you'd be a little thick, to tell the truth.
Yeah. All right, Rick, I appreciate your time on the program. Thanks for the advice. Cheers.
Awesome.
Okay, mate.
Thanks, Duncan.
Take care.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Duncan Garner, live.
Yeah, I've probably got a few I'm disputing at the moment, actually, with those guys. And you've got to be careful that they don't roll over and roll over and roll over. Suddenly the $50 bill becomes $150, and suddenly it's at Baycorp and then all sorts of things. People let that stuff go. There are cameras outside some schools also catching cars stopping on yellow lines in Tauranga right now. Lightbulb says $750. Laugh out loud. Make it $7,500. That'll teach us. Yeah, $7,500. I reckon you make it $1,000 for a disabled park, and you give the money to the disabled community, so the money goes to them. Lightbulb also says filthy council dogs. Whoa. Yeah. Ridiculous 10 minutes. Thank you very much. I'm going to use that, you say. And 10 minutes is not enough, you would have thought. Okay, the biggest and most powerful teacher union in the country, the PPTA, is on one hell of a collision course with the government, who've made it pretty clear that it's back to basics. Head down, bum up, get back to basics, that sort of stuff from the government. But if the PPTA are aware of the new Conservative government in town, it's not overly obvious. There is no love lost between these two parties, right? National doesn't trust the teachers and lost them a long time ago. And the feeling amongst the union is that National's equally as hopeless and the relationship's frosty. Both sides pack a punch. One's the government, of course, the other is the militant union, and they've got about 25,000 members, and it makes it one of the biggest unions in the country behind things like the CTU, PSA and the nurses, which are quite big. But the PPTA conference agenda this week presented papers that were like a red rag to this bullish government, and maybe it was deliberate to draw them into some kind of fight. After all, David Seymour did just order them to take the teacher-only days in their own time. And he's rolling out what the unions hate, which is charter schools, because they can't control or influence them. So the PPTA, they're flexing their muscles and they're laying down what's important to them. And the national conference this week in suburban Kilburnie appeared designed to irritate and agitate National. It was almost a to-do list of everything that this coalition stands firmly against. If anything, it was the PPTA's version of planting a couple of hand grenades into the stuffed shirts of the National Party ministers. And it might just be a coincidence, but it might not be. And even for a moment, I thought the PPTA agenda was so over the top that it was an April Fool's stunt, except it's now September, right? It's October, isn't it? But the PPTA, they seem so distracted and sidetracked by political correctness and offending no one, that you actually wonder if teaching and learning is still part of what they should be doing and if it's important anymore. Many ordinary parents would gasp, if not gag, at the PPTA's annual conference agenda and associated papers. The conference agenda dedicates 7 pages to making sure the Treaty of Waitangi is front and centre of the union's constitution, and it must only ever be referred to from now on in as Te Tiriti o Waitangi from this week on. I can just hear the snigger coming from the beehive, can't you? The PPTA's most controversial idea, I mentioned this briefly last night, is having queer, this is their word, queer liaison officers in all schools. Okay? They say we have a crisis of care within our schools, not when it comes to reading, writing and maths. No, the crisis is when it comes to our kids' sexuality, and they say around 16% of our college students according to data presented by the PPTA. Apparently that 16% identify as being attracted to the opposite sex, but less than 1% present as transgender, or even fewer say that they're non-binary. Does being attracted to the opposite sex at, say, 16 make you gay? And is this a problem, or is it just part of navigating life? The PPTA say they have a ready-made solution, no matter what it is, and I'm not sure all parents want to make this so alarming or so official as the PPTA do, but the PPTA say it's now time for, quote, queer liaison counsellors to guide, help, nurture and be that, quote, queer figurehead that all schools are so obviously lacking. This is not just a suggestion from the union. No. They say this is essential that schools do this. There's no debate, no survey, no thought to ask parents or involve them at all. And that I think is actually a glaring mistake. But this is what they want. And I get it. More and more young people are anxious and involved in self-harm. And I've written about that before and talked about that. But the PPTA say current guidance counsellors and school staff can't do the job because they're not queer. And therefore they don't understand. Isn't that arrogant? These counsellors in schools are heavily trained, well trained, aren't they? To say that you can only employ queer people as queer guidance counsellors, it breaks the law. The PPTA says that only counsellors who identify as queer should be the ones that are hired in the end. I don't believe it. Surely it doesn't need a whole industry created as a response to this. And surely current counsellors on staff are trained and stand ready to deal with this, and they probably are already. Here's some of their approach from the paper presented this week. And it goes like this. To address the challenges faced by queer rangatahi, it is essential, they say, for schools to have a designated queer liaison person. This person will provide a safe and supportive environment for queer students, helping them to feel valued and accepted. They can also provide guidance and support on a range of issues like bullying and harassment, coming out and accessing good resources. Schools, say the PPTA, must prioritise this role and ensure that they have the resources and support they need to be effective. Public-facing queer liaison roles in schools can assist with creating safe havens for queer students. I wonder if the PPTA is trying to present the problem as being bigger than it is, hence needing a response of such a magnitude. Where are parents in all this? Isn't it not their job to be first and last point of call when it comes to dealing with their kids and sexuality? Surely parents have a voice here, but they've been pushed aside to one side. And maybe I'm out of touch and I'm calling this wrong, but something tells me that this is not something our teacher union should be designing. The PPTA are captured around gender issues, as in there's now no such thing as a him or her at the PPTA. This is what they've decided this week, no such thing as a him or her. I worry where we're heading with all this. The sky won't fall, and it never does, but frankly, we've got more to worry about. I mean, I'm worried about vaping, obesity, social media. That's where I put my focus. And reading and writing in maths, in case the teachers had forgotten, that's kind of important too.
Duncan Garner, live.
Right, good to have your company. Keep that. Sorry, guys, I'm listening. I'm very busy organising tomorrow's run to comment on this. This is outrageous, says Lightbulb. That's the problem. No one, or should I say those who should, won't be teachers. Why entitled? How's it got to parents and little shits who blame others for their shortcomings? Yeah. Okay, well, you might say that. JP, John Paul Foliaki. He is on Celebrity Treasure Island with me, a New Zealand actor. Number of credits to his game, better known as JP. He's my larger-than-life mate on Celebrity Treasure Island. He's got an impressive wit, a flamboyant personality. He's still in the game, and he's so far escaped being eliminated on the reality TV show. I caught up with him just a little bit earlier on. JP, lovely to see you, mate. Welcome.
Yo, thank you so much for having me, Duncan.
What are you thinking about this now? You're watching yourself back, which is probably something you do anyway with your career. But what, looking at this now, there's lots of secrets that emerge, right?
Yeah, reality TV is a little bit different because, well, one, everything what you say, you're not playing a character, you're pretty much playing yourself, right? And then on top of that, you think that the game is going one way, and then they cut to half your other team. Like when Susie P was our captain, I'm like, I think our team likes Auntie Susie as the captain. Cut down to everyone else on the beach, and they're planning to overthrow.
Tamati, I'm going to go back. I want to start right at the back, right at the start again. Tamati, he cheated and he lied, and I didn't know how bad it was until I.
Shout out to Tamati. I mean, he maintained his innocence to the end, so you need to get him on and maybe you can cross-examine him or something.
I think he needs a good cross-examination. Why did you go on? So when you first got asked to go on, Celebrity Treasure, what did you think?
Man, I was buzzing out that they even asked me, to be honest, because I've seen the show before, like many times. I've had friends that are on the show. And like the Pacifica people that I know that have come on are like sports players, like at an international level. or my friend Elvis was on it. I think you've interviewed him as well, and he's danced with the best of the best. So I was kind of like imposter syndrome a little bit. Then I spoke to a few people, and they're like, nah, like to certain parts or to our community with what you've done, like that's good enough. That's celebrity status to go on a show like this. And I was like, all right, there's that. I needed a bag because man's bank account is dropping low. And of course, for charity, it's such a good cause.
And so I thought you were a smart fella right from the start. I thought, you're a cunning game. This is a cunning game. Well, because you stayed. Look so far. You haven't been in elimination yet, right?
Not yet.
And we're still there. That's the thing. So what sort of game are you playing? What sort of game are you playing?
Man, I really just wanted to come in and just keep a low profile, but do enough for my team where they can see that I can make a meaningful contribution. But I didn't want to stand out too much that the other team's like, let's knock that guy out. Yeah. And then also just, I wanted to get to know people, and I think that's probably my strength, is just having conversations with people.
Yeah, I think you play a really long, genuine game. And we got swapped. So I went to your team, you went to mine. How did you find that?
But I was nervous because I thought, because Lance said, they can eliminate you once you get over to the other team. And I was like, please don't bring me over here just to kick me off. And then they did that to Tamasi, and I was like, okay, I'm safe for now. But then it just showed me like how ruthless they are. And I was like, nah, these guys, they're obviously a strong team, and they're not afraid of making tough calls. So I was like, I just need to prove myself.
Did you find it brutal? Like, we're there one day, and you're doing your thing, you got your mates there, and you're doing your stuff, and then suddenly you're in the elimination ring, and you're gone. It's like, oh dear, and you're gone. You get to say goodbye, and that's it. You're off the island. Yeah. You do an interview, but you don't see anyone ever again. Yeah. Next time you see them is back in the mainland. In real life.
It's pretty tough. It's just like. It reminds me of, obviously the Squid Games is way more ruthless. Yeah. But like in terms of the mental game of just knowing that at any moment you can be sent home. Yeah. It's pretty surreal, and I don't think anyone can even know what that experience is like unless you're in the game yourself.
How important was it for you to do well for your Pacifica community, for Tonga, for your family? Because I know you talked about this at times on the island, and when I heard you talk about this, I thought, man, you're a determined man, and you know who you're doing it for. You had a why, you had a reason why, and I thought that was strong. How big was that for you?
To get the opportunity to go on Celebrity Treasure Island was a massive opportunity, not just for myself, but for my community. I think with the opportunities that I've been given, it's just a reflection of how much my community and my village have uplifted me and allowed me to pursue those opportunities. So. In those opening credits, I'm wearing the red, white, and brass jacket.
Looks good, eh?
Yeah.
You look like the man.
It's cool. But, I had to keep that in the forefront of my mind that it's way bigger than I am. Like, there's going to be my nephews, my nieces, and young Pacifica kids out there in the community that are watching this. Yes. And that if they are ever offered the opportunity, that they don't get imposter syndrome like I did, Yeah. And of course, doing this with charity, I chose the Child Fund and the Water Run Initiative. And the fact that there's kids out in the Pacific, and we live by the water, and our lives have everything to do with the moana, but the fact that they don't have access to clean water in certain parts of the Pacific is heartbreaking.
Charity does lots of good work.
Yeah, so it meant so much to me, and I'm just happy that I could represent them. And
lots of people are picking you, as one of the stronger people there. I was at a house last night with my son and his friends and their parents, and there was a big group of people watching it. Like, people watch it, in groups. And as I left, they all said, does JP win? And I'm like, I can't say anything. I don't know. I don't know. I can't say anything. So I'm hands in the air. But you got a lot of support out there. You got a lot of support.
I appreciate it. Please send them my love. And man, it was so cool to hear you talk about your son a lot on the show as well.
Yeah, I did. I really found JP that I missed him a lot initially. Yep. It was like someone said, "You're only day 3, bro." But I have so much to do with him in daily life. And when I came off, I was so pleased to hear him and that sort of thing.
How was he when you?
Oh, well, he goes, Dad, is that you? And I was like, it's me. He goes, oh, what's the date? Have you won? We'll leave it there. But he was. I think he was proud of it. Proud of me for being there and doing my thing. What did you learn about other people? Well, because you knew a number of people there, right?
I knew Baba and I knew Gabby. That's who I had who I knew on a personal level. Yeah. But it was interesting to just learn about the different personalities that people have, and then also what people are like under different circumstances, like, you know, when given a little bit of power or put under pressure.
True.
And I think that's why, just going back to, you know, my charity and my community is so important. Like, that's to get this far as I am currently in the game. It was like, that was the only thing, because, you know, you can, if it's just for you, you're like, oh, you know what, stuff it.
I still want to go on the first. I just want to be the first to go. My aim was not to be the first guy.
What about Bubba? She was having fun. Next minute, she was up first for elimination. And I said to her afterwards, are you taking it serious now? Do you realise you're almost the first to go home?
You know, we chose her because we thought she'd be weak.
So what was the reasoning behind
we chose her for the first. Well, we thought that Vinny would, because my team was looking at it physically. Everything was physical, but it wasn't. It's a game of chess. It's a game of mind. It's a game of
patience.
It's a game of skill. It's not a game of brute strength and how quick you are. You know,
not all the time.
It helps to be there, but you know, you gotta have a brain. And anyway, I thought she was amazing. That first one was like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know, because I think Bubba's really surprises people in this whole thing experience. She's amazing. Gabby, amazing. I don't know. I knew of people, and I'd interviewed a few of them, but everyone was new to me, really.
Yeah.
Cully was the man. It was good to see.
I was buzzing out that Christian Cullen, and my brothers are like, man, you're the first one to stop playing rugby out of us, and you're the one that gets JP passes the ball to Christian Cullen. I was like, that's crazy.
I know, we love him, mate. He's a good guy, eh?
Yeah, he's cool.
Millsy's fun, you know.
Millsy's fun. Everyone was really good, and like I got along really well with everyone, to be honest.
What did you learn about yourself?
What did I learn about myself on Celebrity Treasure Island?
You could do a month, you could do 2 weeks, you could do 3 weeks, you could do a week without phones.
Yeah. But I've always been happy to just put my phone down. It's hard to with the kind of work that we do, but I love an opportunity to just like disconnect. I think I learned, or it was confirmed to me, just how strong I can be mentally, and then also how I can kind of get what I want just by being in the background.
I think
in a not in a weird way or like a sneaky way, but just
I don't want to call you crafty, but I want to call you smart, because I just thought you played a really interesting, low profile.
Yeah.
You're fun. You keep everyone's spirits up. You know, that's really important. But your determination, you're like, we can't really talk about much in terms of the future of the game, but your determination I saw, particularly on one occasion where I just thought, wow.
Yeah, thank you. It's just it goes back to, like I was saying, just trying to remember that it's bigger than you. And I think when you were
so your vision was like you were locked in your own space, eh?
I think that, when you have that in the forefront of your mind, it makes things not easier, but just a bit more bearable. Yeah. And then you can try and push through.
When you come off the island, is it a relief to get back into normal life? How did you cope with getting back into normal life? I struggled a little bit, eh?
Yeah, no, it was weird. I think even eating like normal food was a bit weird. Like, as much as I wanted to pig out, like I tried, but I just felt sick afterwards. It was weird not hearing the sea or like the ocean, like when you're trying to sleep. Yeah. Snoring was never a thing for me, but I hear everyone saying that about you. But I mean, I snore too.
I snored a lot. Rice and beans, were you over there?
Rice and beans. Rice, I can do the rice again. If I ever see beans again, nah, I'm out.
Who said this? This is my final thing. Who said this? What's white and has gout?
My bad.
No, you know what? I was cracking up when you said it. I was like, "Who could that be?" And I was thinking, oh, it's me. Yeah, I answered it.
No, I said, "No, what was it? Who looks like they have gout but they're not tonguing?"
That's the one. Yeah, well, the same as white and gout.
Hafato, Duncan.
Yeah, hey, nice to see you again, JP. And I thought it was very funny, that line, eh? Like, we've all said things out there, and I called my team a cult.
Yeah, you said a few things. You called your team a cult. You said that Kamau thinks she's better than Tamati.
I think she is. Anyway, good to see you, mate. Take care. Thank you.
Nah, thank you. Malo.
Hi.
Duncan Garner, live.
Yeah, a bit of feedback coming in there too. Moana says JP's cool, funny expressions and hard case on the show. JP, Moana says, a smart, yes, but you're also playing a low profile game too, DG, leaving the others to underestimate you. You're onto that, eh? You're onto that. I'm a bit embarrassed with last night with wearing the women's togs. I must admit, now I look back at it, what was I thinking? Isaac, you didn't see it, did you?
No, I've not seen it, but I feel like now I have to.
No, it's let's just put it this way: they were tight.
Ooh.
Yeah. What's TikTok saying? Let's move on.
TikTok, heaps and heaps of support for CTI.
Yep.
Which is great to see. Lots of people saying that they're about to start watching. Well, it would have just started 15 minutes ago now.
Yep.
Again, lots of people saying that you're looking very tan.
Yeah.
They're theorising that maybe you're on the island for a while because you're looking very tan, and so so a couple of theories being thrown around.
Yeah,
in the
there's all
TikTok
those
comments.
theories, yeah.
But people are loving Super Treasure Island. They love JP as well, which is great.
He's the man. He really. I never knew him beforehand. Do I give away any secrets in that little chat I just had with him? If you go back and have a look at it, I don't know. Maybe I do.
Ooh.
Maybe there's a hint in there. I don't know.
That's a bit awkward.
Yeah, I reckon. But honestly, go and check out the women's clothes, the women's togs.
Okay, I will.
Hideous, Moana. Hideous. That's not strong enough, Moana. You've got to be strong on that. It was puke-inducing. Anyway, that's us, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in to Duncan, Garner, Editor-in-Chief Live with Estes Oil. The premium New Zealand-made fish oil supplement backed by a study. Support joint, heart and brain health. About Health have a $500 Pro Health Pack giveaway running in October with all orders going in the draw to win. Now you can use the code Duncan for 10% off and you get an extra entry as well, okay? It's abouthealth.co.nz. Take as directed. Read the label. About Health Auckland 0800 999 309. There are people by the phone right now, so if you ring that number, they're there. I took some of that fish oil out to Super Treasure, and I used it. And I tell you what, I never once had to strap my knee. Interesting, eh? Interesting. Duncan, I'm really enjoying you on CTI, says James. You're friends with Christian Cullen. You're keeping it real. I loved Cully. Oh, no, he was a hero of mine because we're the same age. Hero of mine as I used to watch rugby in the All Blacks. And then to meet him and to hang out with him. He is the most humble... How do I say this? He's the most humble, unaffected, down-to-earth New Zealander that I've ever met in my life. Yeah. That's us, folks. This will be available as a podcast on Rover shortly and wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for all your feedback and support. I'm Duncan at rover.nz. To my team, Isaac, thank you, sir. You're the man. You're the man. And Forrester, wherever you are. Forrester! Is he still with us? Who knows? Thank you, guys. We'll do it again tomorrow. Remember, life isn't dress rehearsal. There is no curtain raiser. This is it. We live in one of the best places on earth. So get out and enjoy it. Although it's pissing down right now, so be careful. Take care, folks.
That was Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief Live. Missed something on the live stream? Text Duncan to 3598 to listen back on the podcast. Want to get in touch? Call 0800 863 293.